have one working group with representatives from both, because then you can come up with a plan for the whole, for both boards, right?
I guess my thought on that is, I think one group might be a good idea, because maybe somebody from Port Franks has an interesting idea about Grand Bend that we haven't looked at, because, you know, when we look at Grand Bend, all we see is Grand Bend. I think one group could probably do this, and we could, as long as we share and get along, we'd be fine.
Okay. And the other one is, okay, I was reading here that for us to be viable port either at both locations, we need a 5-foot draw. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly?
No, the point of the 5-foot draft is if we want to use the north side to maintain channel depths in Port Franks, we need 5 feet.
So we're landlocked right now with the north side in Port Franks.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Okay, that's not very good, is it? But so we're looking for, what kind of draft do we need to have a viable port for? What are we looking at here? Just power boats or sail? So we need a...
Or if we other for Councilor McGuire, he's...
I think for the mouth of the river, you'd want at least 6-7 feet, because you have the hydraulic, the waves in the trough and the crest.
Right.
So if the boat's coming in and
You're
storing,
coming in on choppy water, you're going to...
yeah, you want the extra. Yeah.
What are we at now? What were we at the end of last season? Let's go.
3 feet.
3 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so when we're talking dredging, we're talking thousands and thousands of tons of silt that has to be pulled out of it, right? So for spot dredging, would spot dredging take care of it?
Well, no, spot, because it's a regular maintenance item that we have to do, could have to do on a weekly basis. We use a prop washing method to keep the channel clear.
Yeah.
And that's where my type works has come forward with having purchased a new vessel, and it's, you know, expressed an interest in the Atlantic Shores, asking us if we'd like to look at it as a method to keep that channel deeper and clearer. And the advantage of that vessel is it can operate in a very low water condition.
Well, if we're looking for any kind of recommendation tonight, I'm looking towards that recommendation. I know it's a little bit more expensive at the beginning, but I think it's important to try and catch up at least. If water levels do drop substantially over the next few years, at that point, I think the council, or maybe not this one, but future councils, going to have to look at the possibility of when are we going to cut our losses, or are we going to be dredging out miles? Because eventually the basin, the lake basin, is going to catch up to where the port is, right? So hopefully that won't be for another. Well, it's going there very quickly, right? So.
And in dredging, we have to make sure that we don't undermine the walls.
Yeah.
And how that happens. So we have to take that into consideration. The proposal with the new operation, or the new boat that's been purchased, or dredger that's been purchased, is an option for us. And I guess we decided whether we're going to be open for business this year. I believe it's the only option that we have if we're going to carry on with both harbors and keeping them open. So Dr. Mayor Day, get her hand up.
So I have a few questions for you to Brent, if I could. Brent, it makes comment in your report that for the Grand Bend Harbor, that 50% of the cost to maintain the depths are grant funded through the federal government.
Yes.
And yet it's sitting at a $17,000 annual payment right now. So is that keeping up with the costs? Or is there any way for us to increase that $17,000 so that that's another source of monies for us?
The way the DFO grant works is they look at the current contract with MyCo works. It's 50-50 split between Grand Bend and Port Franks. The cost is fixed, so we know what we're going to pay every year. And DFO is committed to spending 50% of that.
Of only Grand Bends or Port Franks and
Only
Grand Bends?
Grand Bends.
Only Grand Bends. So it's about a quarter of the actual cost of the
Yes.
contract ultimately. Okay, I understand. The other thing is if and when we are able to do some dredging, obviously it'll be very important that we are diligent in maintaining that, keeping it open, because it can fill in very easily. So it will be important for us to have the north side or some other arrangement working regularly. So I'm just wondering, at what point will we have certification on staff? I know that you're working towards it, you made mention of that, but I think it's very important that we work on getting that. Yeah,
the challenge, well, not the challenge, but the way the situation is now is we're contractually obligated to offer the work to MyCo works until that contract expires. So even if we want to use Northside, I've spoken to the representative and he's willing to use the vessel. if water depth permit and with some training, so our staff have to work with Mr. Miller to keep it open. And I just wanna make sure that we understand how the program works, that it's not a one-time dredge, that, Mr. Miller is out there on a regular basis dredging and prop washing as needed, and when conditions are safe for him to do so.
Okay, and then one other question, I think just to council, is that, I think we're gonna have to have a discussion about some of these major expenditures. At what threshold do we have to start to have a local benefit charge? I think obviously people say, well, you know, that area was benefited, so our issue should be completely tax funded as well. But there comes a point when we just have to have local benefit charges, and so we have to define that more clearly, I think. What is that threshold? And, because there's other things that are coming to us, maybe river wash, expenditures for the mapping the land so that they can build on their properties too. Does that fall within a threshold that we will just pay through the tax levy, or will we say that there has to be a local benefit charge in that case as well? So I think we have to define our policy in that way.
I think that's the representative that spoke on behalf from Grand Bend mentioned that they're willing to talk to us about that. And I think those are items that we need to put together with the report, whatever we take the budget. Councilor McGuire.
Yeah, there's really two main issues here. One is the harbor mills themselves. They fill in with silt, wave action causes a lot of that stuff. And that's where we use Mai Tai, and we use the north side to do it. And that's where, again, this new machine that Mai Tai works is looking at purchasing, I think will do an excellent job. The other issue we have is farther upriver, you're in the clay and gravel, so you know, you're in a totally different type of dredging. You also have your seawalls. And I think that's where your committee would come in the play down the road, because all these groups, these marinas also have their own seawalls that we need improvement as well. So you want to bring them in and develop the long range plan. You know, like Brad's point about $2 million, you know, to do the whole harbor docks. You want to buy in with them, because then you can do, you know, hopefully maybe you can do it all at once with everybody and get economies of scale. But I think as far as going forward, I think the most critical thing tonight is that we decide that we do something with these harbors, because people are figuring out where to put their boats now. We only have about a month and a half before they're gonna make a decision whether they're gonna come here or go somewhere else. And, you know, I like the idea of the local benefit charge, spreading it out. And if you look at 60,000 divided by 500 slips, it's $120 per user. And I'm not sure how much revenue we generate from the launch ramp, but could you even tack on a little bit extra there to recoup some of the cost as well? Because even those people that are just using day use are still benefiting from the access to the lake and the harbor. So I would like to see it push forward and decide on tonight.
Making a motion.
I will make the motion to
That option.
to go with the option.
D&E,
What's that?
combination D&E.
Yes.
D&E.
These, that Mai Tai also allows to offer the north side of Port France.
Amending the contract with My Toy Works and the second part is to allow My Toy Works to operate the north side in Port France.
I'll second it.
Okay. Councilor Johnston.
I just have a question to the CAO. Jan, do we have any idea some of these options right now? We haven't seen the operating budget. We have seen the operating budget. We haven't discussed it. Are we looking at in terms of tax points? Are we looking at, if we add this in, the implication?
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
0.5% was 40,000,
Right.
so 40 to 45,000. So adding in, depending which options you're choosing, yes, there is an impact to your rates.
So if we use Councilor McGuire's idea on the local benefit tax, local improvement tax, that will offset some of that, won't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
We do it through the slips.
yeah, I guess what I'd like to do is, if Councilor McGuire is amenable to this, I think we should put a time frame on this, to your idea, and I think we make this a priority in our budget discussions for operating. When's our next, January 31st?
Yep.
Budget discussions are next?
Yep.
Then maybe what we do on the 31st, if this becomes a top priority item,
Get that out of there.
get it out of the way and let's look at the implications, because the economic downside to this, I think, is disastrous if we don't do something.
Okay. So the motion is that we amend the contract. We're dealing with it in the budget, how we're going to.
But my amendment is that we make it a priority on the 31st.
But we don't approve it tonight. What do we need to do to make this all happen? I guess the time